for tuning into TTV. I'm your host, Toya, and today is Monday. And we're going to start the week off with a good note, okay? So, the title for today is Know Your Limits, okay? Know your limits. Know where you are in your own level of life, okay? And the reason I say this is because I came across this article, and then I came across these videos where they were talking about breatharians. And if you ever heard of it, a breatharian is someone who lives off of air, or what they call prana, okay, the energy in the air. And so they don't drink water, they don't eat food, they have no type of consumption at all. They're just basically living off of spiritual energy that's around us, okay? Now, I have seen some videos, I have seen articles where there are people who have done this and they actually study. Like I remember it was an Indian guy over in India, okay, not Native American, but India, who hasn't eaten anything in like 20 years or something, like 20, 30 years, something like that. And so what they did was is they took him into a facility and they watched him, for a certain period of time. And they saw where during that time they were watching him, he never drank anything, he never ate anything, but yet he was existing and he was alive and thriving, and he didn't have, system malfunctions or anything. Like, he wasn't starving to death or anything. He was surviving. And everything was okay, and he had been doing that for years. There's also a black guy that you can look up on YouTube, or African American, whichever way you want to call it. I'm part of that culture, so I can say either way. I'm giving my own self permission. So, there was one, he said that the same thing, that's what he's been doing. He hasn't eaten anything or consumed any food, and like at the time, I think when I watched it was like 5 or 7 years, something like that. And so I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm not saying that we don't get to that point, because we are energy beings, okay? And by being energy beings, it does make sense to where energy would feed us. I mean, we already know, like when you get around somebody and you feeling down and sluggish, but you get around somebody whose energy is high and they're enthusiastic and they like, yay, and you feel their vibe and you connect with them, they actually energize you. And that's part of why, because you're doing that energy exchange. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but it takes some work to get to that level, okay? It takes some work. So if you're not one of those people who have meditated for all these years and put all this study in and all this practice in it and all this stuff, don't go trying stuff that is not on your level. Don't go doing things like that, okay? Like, I know my level. That's not my level. I'm not there, okay? I know I'm nowhere near that point, okay? If I will ever be to that point, because I actually enjoy eating food, okay? If you couldn't tell, I like eating food, okay? I enjoy it. It brings comfort sometimes, and sometimes the flavors, and sometimes it's just a matter of cooking that makes me happy and brings joy to me. So if you're not there, you're not on the level, don't try to keep up with the Joneses, people. Because then you look into it and you start researching this. You got people who fell out. You got people who lied about it, who claim to be breatharians, and then they got caught eating food. Like, all this craziness. Okay, don't. And this goes back to what I said earlier this week, or last week actually, where I was talking about being your authentic self and being true to who you are. And that's where really what it is. You have to be true to who you are and where you are. It was actually last Wednesday. Avoiding the voice. That's the one. So stop trying to be something that you're not and be impressive, or just because you admire somebody for what it is they do and you striving to do the same things as that, that's fine. But when you start getting to the point where you lying about it, where you falling out on stage because you need some food or some substance in you, the mind is a very powerful tool. And yes, we can get to that point, I believe, to where we feel like we don't need any food, because if you believe it, you can make it real. That's the whole point of manifesting things into your life, period, is if you think it, you can manifest it by making it come true, if you really and truly believe it and keep at it. But if it's not something that you really truly believe and you ain't kept at it, and this isn't so, don't go try to be a guru when you just learned the basics 101. Okay? So stay in your lane. Do what you need to do for you. And don't go trying to be what somebody else is. Okay? Know your own levels. Know your limitations. It doesn't mean that those are your only limitations and that you have to stay there. You can strive to do better, strive to get further, strive to go beyond those limitations that you currently have, and get to the point where you feel like you're limitless, because we're limitless beings. But the fact of it and the truth of it is that we live in a world that tells us we are limited every single single day. And it takes some time to get beyond those limits that we have been programmed and trained to believe that we have for our whole lives. Okay? So if this is the program and this is the world in which you live in, an environment and things have been told to you your whole life, then don't think that tomorrow you're going to sit there and reprogram your whole self to believe that you don't need no food. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. At least not that quick. Now, a couple of more years, even a year. I even give you a year from there. If you study at it and this is what you focus on 24/7, like all day and night, and that's what you're working on a year later, then yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. You could. So I'm not trying to tell people put limits on yourself, but just know your level, know where you are. If you're trying to be like somebody else or you're trying to do the things that somebody else does, understand that they took some time. They had practice. They went through some trials and errors in order to get to that point. They didn't just wake up one day and end up there. It was a process that got them there. And they got them to that point. And that's how you have to do with anything in life that you want to do that you feel people have put a limit on or put some kind of boundary on or said that you couldn't do. Yeah, you can do it. You can do anything in this world. Whatever it is you want to do. But understand, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's not just going to happen just because you thought it. It takes some time and it's a process to it. Okay? You have to think it. You have to believe it to make it real. Okay? It takes some time. But all I'm saying is don't go do none of this crazy mess. If you have never been on a skateboard in your life, don't go thinking you're going to be, what was the dude name? Oh my God, I can't even think of his name. But anyway, y'all know the skateboard dude. Don't think you're going to be out there like him, okay? You're not going to go to the skate park and make it in the very first try. You're not going to go down and try to skateboard down the handrail and not break your bones or bust your head open or something like that. So all I'm saying is work up to where you're trying to get to. Practice. Spend that time developing that if that's really what you want to do. If you see somebody out here doing something you want to do, take your time to get there. Don't just think it's going to be something instantaneous that's going to happen like that or happen overnight or just because you thought it. So know where you are mentally. Know where you are spiritually. Know your limits right now. You can always raise that bar to, increase it and widen your limits. But know you got limits right now because that's how we were programmed and that's what we believe. Okay? And so it takes some time to reprogram ourselves. It takes some time to get beyond that thought process and beyond what we have been trained and programmed to believe. So just take the time necessary to do what you need to do and don't go out here doing this foolishness. Like stop eating because somebody said that you could survive off of the energy in the air. Okay? Is it possible? Yes, it's probably possible. I believe it's possible. Do I think you can do that right now starting today? No, your butt gonna fall out and end up in the hospital, okay? Or worse. So don't go doing that mess, all right? Know your limits. That's all I'm saying. But I love you. If you got anything out of this, please like, subscribe, and share. Because if you got something out of it, chances are someone else did as well. I love you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.